So did was the 441 March to Peace, love, and all that goodness. Eat the thumbs up. How y'all living? I'm Yacub, tour guide, Wise Eye. This is an installment of What's the 441, and we got the Watchers on topic today. We're going to put some dots together. We're going to connect some things, and it's perfect timing for our guy, none other than Sean Carter. We're going to talk about some things, and all these things can be allegedly speaking because it's got wicked out here in the world. And a lot of these people are playing dirty because the YouTube and the internet streets, they're getting a little muddled. A lot of people are spreading news. Some people are spreading false news. Some people are spreading lies. Some things are being spread half truth mixed in with a little bit of this and that. So we're not going to get into none of the blog spot. Let the teacup stay over there. But what we will be talking about is the Watchers and who are the Watchers. Because he does have a song called The Watchers. He himself calls himself a Watcher. And where does this term and where does this statement come from? Where does this, the root bound itself up at? And we'll touch a base on a little bit from the Bible standpoint, and we'll get some clarification on how they deem the Watchers and what their job was made to do as they come down in the first place to even edify or occupy the earth realm. So let's get into the first slide. And boom, boom, pow. Trump is going to disclose the Epstein and Diddy files. Let's just get right into that because this is a real shift in control all over the realm. And the realm is looking for those who can signify a better change for the humanitarians, the community, the future of America, the future of these different countries, and actually having civil, Congress together where we can all deem each other, righteous in their standpoint. So it's looking as though Trump is bringing a new stance to this government, this faction government, and it's looking like he's probably going to be the last president because there's going to be some type of restructure of order coming up in the near future. But you got your boy with the MAGA hat, and this was years ago, and when he was wilding out at the Pablo concert, let's tap in and see what he had to say. Because he had some things to say to our guy. Hold on, let's see what's my... Uh-oh, can I press play? No.
Feelings matter, bro. It's a new world. It's a new world, Barack. It's a new world, Jay-Z. Hey, don't send killers at my head, bro. This ain't the Malcolm X movie. We growing from that moment.
So, MAGA hat. He was wearing it after the whole scenario in this whole situation, and if you begin to read between the lines, that was years ago, almost 10 years ago, and what he was saying to the Obama administration, the Democrats, and the puppets that propagate the propaganda, the entertainers. So there was something that he knew long time before that, before this time, and a lot of us don't even know what's going on. But if you just pay attention, there's some type of inside war going on. The shadow government and the government are having an internal battle, and sides are being taken, and lines have been crossed for a while now. We're finally witnessing the evidence of it, and it's a soft disclosure because soon there'll be a disclosure saying that all this stuff is false and everything that you was witnessing is this, and actually they were distracting you from this and that and that and that. So I believe that that's what's going to happen. And this guy, Cash Patel, Trump's controversial nominee for the FBI director, he vows to release the confidential, quote-unquote, Diddy list and Epstein files. Donald Trump's controversial FBI director nominee Kash Patel has stated plans to reveal the so-called Diddy list and the infamous Epstein files. Patel reiterated his intentions during an interview on the Benny Johnson podcast, citing a commitment to restoring trust in federal agencies by exposing decades of alleged corruption. So that's right on cue with the changing of the guards. That guy is Kash Patel. He's the head of the U.S. Department of Defense. But what we are going to get into now is who are some of these watchers that these administration Trump may be going up against, because you heard MAGA Hat himself said that it's a new world, Jay-Z. So, next slide. Okay, the watchers come down to save the earth. So, in the Apocrypha, this is a construction of lost books that were once upon a time a part of the Bible sequence, and they were conveniently taken out to avoid certain truths of the actual, what we say, matrix that we live in. So some of these books that you would start to read, they begin to put together a clearer status of what we're looking at when we try to decipher what's good, bad, righteous, and evil, all these different things. But one particular book is the book of Enoch, and it speaks of the giants that come to earth, the untold story of the fallen angels and their half-human offspring. So let's get into the next slide, which is the first slide of a portion that I excerpt out. I just want to get into a few pages. We'll do chapter 3 and 4, and we'll see, get a kind of a glimpse of what it is that they are speaking of. So, the rebels amongst the watchers. And it came to pass, when the sons of men had increased, that in those days there were born to them fair and beautiful daughters. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they saw to one another, Come, let us choose for ourselves wives and the children of men, and let us beget for ourselves children. The Semites, who were their leaders, said to them, I fear that you may not wish this deed to be done, and that I alone will pay for this great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath and bind one another for curses, so not to alter this plan, but to carry out this plan effectively. When they all swore together and all bound one another with curses to it, and they were in all 200, and they came down on Ardis, which is the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called the mountain Hermon because on it they swore and bound one another with curses. And these are the names of the leaders: Semias, who was their leader, Arakaba, Ramiel, Kokabel, Tamiel, Ramiel, Daniel, Ezekiel, Baruchel, Asiel, Amorso, Anunel, Zachiel, Samsiel, Satiel, Turiel, Yomiel, Ariziel. These are the leaders of the 200 angels of all the others with them. So, and they took wives for themselves, and everyone chose for them himself one each. And they began to go into them and were promiscuous with them, and they taught them charms and spells, and they showed them the cutting of roots and trees, and they became pregnant and bore large giants, and their heights 3,000 cubits. These devoured the toils of men until men were unsustained them. And the giants turned against them in order to devour men. And they began to sin against birds and against animals and against reptiles and against fish, and they devoured one another's flesh and drank the blood from it. Then the earth complained about the lawless ones. That's important. And Azazel taught men to make swords and daggers and shields and breastplates, and he showed them the things after these and the art of making them, bracelets and ornaments, and the art of making up the eyes and of beautifying the eyelids, and the most precious stones and all kinds of colored dyes. And the world was changed, and there was great impurity and much fornication, and they went astray, and all their ways became corrupt. Amzarek taught all of those who cast spells and cut roots. Armaros, the release of spells, and Barcriel, astrologers, and Kokobel, portents, and Tamiel taught astrology, and Astrodel taught the path of the moon. And at the destruction of men they cried out, and their voices teach heaven. And then Michael, Gabriel, Suriel, and Uriel looked down from heaven and saw the mass of blood that was being shed on the earth, and all of the iniquity that was being done on the earth. And they said to one another, let the devastated earth cry out with the sound of their cries up to the gate of heaven. And now to you, O Holy One, O Holy Ones of heaven, the souls of men complain, saying, bring our complaint before the Most High. And they said to their Lord, the King, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, your glorious throne endures for all of the generations of thee. Now let's take a break before we go to this next slide, because that's all we got in chapter 3. So it's important to notice that these watchers are down here on earth, and they were sent to survey. They were sent to protect and do the exact opposite of what they came down and did, ironically enough. And they took wives for themselves, and everyone chose for himself one each, and they began to go into them and were promiscuous with them, and they taught them charms and spells, and they showed them the cutting of roots. So they taught them different secrets and wonders of the world that these particular beings were not necessarily privy to. They were not the ones that were allowed to know these things, because they were common folks on the earth realm, and it was a particular common folk. That's a whole nother story, but we'll stay on topic because we're only speaking about the watchers. Let's go to the next slide. So in chapter 4, the Most High, the Watcher, speaks out. Now, let's go ahead and read this entire section, and then we'll talk about it. And then the Most High, the Great and Holy One, spoke and sent Arzael to the son of Lamech, and said to him, say to him in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end which is coming, because the whole earth will be destroyed. A deluge is about to come on all the earth, and all that is in it will be destroyed. And now teach him, so that he may escape, and his offspring may survive for the whole earth. And further, the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel by his hands and his feet, and throw him into the darkness, and split upon the desert which is in Dudael, and throw him there. And throw him jagged and sharp stones, and cover him with darkness, and let him stay there forever, and cover his face, so that he may not see the light. and so that on the great day of judgment he may be hurled into the fire. And restore the earth which the angels have ruined, and announce the restoration of the earth. For I shall restore the earth, so that not all of sons of man shall be destroyed because of the knowledge which the watchers made known and taught to their sons. And the whole earth has been ruined by the teachings of the works of Azazel, and against him write all of sin. Let's highlight that so we keep over that. And the Lord said to Gabriel, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the sons of the fornicators, and destroy the sons of the fornicators and the sons of the watchers from amongst men, and send them out, and send them against one another, and let them destroy themselves in battle. For they will not have length of days, and they will petition you, but the petitioners will gain nothing in respect of them, for they hope for eternal life, and that each of them will live life for 500 years. And the Lord said to Michael, go inform Semaziah and the others with him who have associated with the woman to corrupt themselves with them in all of their uncleanness. When all of their sons kill each other, and when they see the destruction of their loved ones, bind them for 70 generations under the hills of the earth until the day of their judgment and of their consummation, until the judgment which is for all eternity is accomplished. And in those days they will lead them the abyss of fire, in torment, and the prison they will be shut up for all eternity. And then Samajas will be burnt, and from then on destroyed with them. Together they will be bound until the end of all generations, and to destroy all the sons of lust, and the sons of the watchers, for they have wronged men. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and every evil work will cease. And now all the righteous will be humble, and all live until they beget thousands, and all the days of their youth and the Sabbaths they will fulfill peace. And in those days the whole earth will be tilted and righteous, and all of it will be planted with trees, and it will be filled with blessings. And the pleasant trees they will plant on it, and they will plant on it vines, and the vines that is planted on it will produce fruit in abundance, and every seed that is sown on it, each measure will produce 1,000, and each measure of olives will produce 10 baths of oil, and the cleanse of earth from all wrong, and from all iniquity, and from all sin, and from all inimity, at empty, and from all the uncleanness which is brought about on the earth. So that section speaks very clearly about the reversing of all the castigation that has been happening on earth by the watchers. So who are the watchers? Next slide. Ooh, these guys right here. These are the watchers. And if you notice, right here, they have songs that identify who they are. And it's very important to believe who they call themselves, because a person wants to be identified a certain way because there's a certain, first of all, these are entertainers. And to entertain is to distract. That's the definition. That's the definition. Entertain is to distract. So these are people that they hire as entertainers. And this guy, he's in charge of the West Coast. And then this guy, he's also in charge of the West Coast. They came out with a new song just this week. And I didn't even hear it, but it's called Missionary. And I found it to be very important. After all of these years, these two guys are still together. But they are the Watchers. And Jay-Z as well, he's a watcher as well. And these people, they were sent to this earth because they have fallen and their ways were to be corrected. But they still chose to do the things that they wanted to do and to possess souls and take the ways of those entities that they said that they was fornicating and promiscuous with. So that's, like I said, another story. But if you notice, these people are some of the ones that control the entertainment realms. Most notably, you seeing these two guys right here in the media for very hellacious activities, and we don't know it to be true or not. We do know that their credibility as cultured individuals doesn't quite stand up. You know what I mean? It's kind of strange, if you ask me, with this guy right here screaming "No Diddy" as this situation is going on, but the entire time he was a Diddy doo-wop. So these individuals are very auspicious when it comes to their activities and who they actually work for and work with. Because if you notice, this is probably the most inspiration that you'll see a bunch of black-skinned successful individuals enjoying themselves. Now, this, for face value, this is very inspirational, very, very devotional if you want to look at it in that aspect. But if you get into the stories of how these people made it to this circle, it brings the value down to less than worthy in so many instances. You have to realize that a lot of these individuals in these circles were put into position to strictly distract you from your individual ability of being successful and great. And they dangle certain carrots into your face on the center stage when it came to, you can be like this, you can be successful like this, you can go buy this watch, and you can walk like this, and then you can be cool, and you can be black excellent, as they call it. You understand? So they sold us a image, and behind the image there's faulty character values, and they hold themselves on certain morals and standards, and you find out that they're part of certain societies and certain, allegedly, certain rings and circles that get them tricked up. So now let's be clear. If these guys' allegations are not true, that's great, but it doesn't demise the fact that subject A right here, he was a drug dealer for his community, and then subject B is just a legacy kid, which means his father is a drug dealer and he reaped the benefits of being a drug dealer's kid. You understand what I'm saying? And these type of individuals, they go on to sell different drugs to the community by way of the music, by way of the alcohol that they sell, by way of the expensive lifestyles that they sell to you, knowing that you cannot afford it, by way of the expensive clothing that they wear, and then they propagate it and make it like the coolest thing in the world, so that you would go buy a Sean John sweatsuit and you would want to be just like Diddy. So you have to understand the only thing that these people are actually interested is your consumerism and your ability to support their expensive and illustrious habit to being black and excellent. You follow what I'm saying? So these are the watchers, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into the next slide. So you got Jay-Z once again, and all these things seem to be alleged, but we put the dots together and we make our own determining interest in what's going on. So you just see, if you look up Jay-Z and Freemason, few different things show up. You see Rick Ross throwing up the diamond. You see Al Sharpton throwing up the diamonds. You see LeBron James and Jay-Z putting together their little special handshake. You see Jay-Z and the Mara Barfovich lady. They do their little ceremony seance in front of all of their different onlookers. You got, this Jay-Z, this Freemason album. You got this picture right here is a Freemason stance. You got Martin Luther King doing it. You got Obama doing it. You got Malcolm X doing it. You have a particular amount of people putting this picture into place. Denzel Washington. There's a lot of different people, and if you're a part of a particular order, you make things known by certain symbolisms and structures as this is connected to this album. And if I understand correctly, this finger gesture right here is also a Freemasonic symbol. And there's nothing really spooky about Freemasonry, but certain orders, they have certain back doors that get you into the people that control and manipulate the masses on huge scales, quote unquote, this lady here and this guy right here. They're together on some Hunger Games type of stuff. They took the best from Brooklyn, they took the best from Houston, and they said, what would you do for a Klondike bar? So it shows that they'll do a lot, because they propagate these different symbolisms. This right here is the Baphomet. This right here is the 666 that they try to hijack and to commune the energy as if it was their own. So these are false leaders, and the watchers that were sent down to do one thing and they did not do. So they're actually bound to this reality until they get it right. So they tend to reincarnate, and they jump bodies, and they just do the same thing over and over and over, and they get better and better and better at it. So it is kind of said that Jay-Z's a time traveler, and he's come back through different entities. They have some pictures of how he looks as a white man, and even a young black guy that was like back in the 60s, looked like it was color purple shit. But they throw these symbols up, and this is not a Rockefeller diamond. This is a part of Freemasonry, and it's no coincidence that all of these different entities are throwing this symbol. And if you can look closely, it's not the greatest picture. I just wanted to have this collage for an example, but you can kind of notice Drake right here. You can kind of see Kanye West and Robin Thicke right there. You kind of, I don't know who that is right there. It looks like Kobe Bryant and his wife. It looks like you got LeBron right there, Jay-Z right there, Aleister Crowley over here in the corner, Beyonce right there. That's the ones that I can pick out as far as by view. But these particular entities are all not Rockefeller. So why do they do the one-eye symbolism and the pyramid? They're trying to usurp and pervert the energy, because if you notice, these pyramids, they're trying to propagate those and put the one eye together like they're the ones that created the pyramids, but they actually are the false light, the ones that steal the energy from others that have actually created the pyramids. So next slide. So you got this individual right here, and we seen him in the last slide throwing up the diamond, but LeBron James is no stranger to the Rock Boys, and he is no doubt about it a part of the order of the rings. You got him right here looking at Jay-Z and Beyonce. What should I do, boss? Because if you pay attention to LeBron's succession, these shoes right here give it all away. He got a $90 million contract to wear Nike, and he received that contract before he even played any basketball games in the NBA. So that's like putting all of your money on a person, a team, or whatever that you've never seen perform on the professional standpoint. So it is definitely very, very, very telling for LeBron James to get a $90 million contract from a Nike who doesn't give anyone a contract, number one, but gave a $90 million contract for life. So he's wearing Nike for life. Maybe because he's one of the first experimental individuals where they began to take his body and send him through the lab. Just a alleged rumor, but we'll keep it moving because you see that these individuals run in the same circles. And there's no way, I don't give a fuck who you are, I'm not going to party with you on an intimate level without knowing you on some type of basis. So, for example, if I'm going to be seen with you, or if I'm going to go to a function with you and I'm going to party with you and potentially get into some type of altercation, because it's dangerous for these people to be famous and going in the public, anything can happen. And they might have to step up for each other. You understand? So there's no way that you are around these individuals and not knowing what's going on. So for Diddy to be locked up on a RICO type of case, and he was the only one locked up, it's to say that they're looking to get other individuals. Next slide. Because you have LeBron James mysteriously stepping away from the Lakers for personal reasons, quote unquote. So it was said that he's played some of the worst basketball in his history of playing, and it could just be reaching, but these dots we put together, we begin to find a better picture, and it's not really a reach when you begin to see everything happening as a succession. You see LeBron James say right here a few weeks ago or months ago, and with that said, I'll holler at y'all getting off social media for the time being. Y'all take care. So, and with that being said, I'll holler at y'all. I don't know what that being said meant, but people was roasting him. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to a Diddy party? So people are roasting him. People are on him. So he had to get out of the way. Let's see what my man right here got to say. This is 9 Mag TV, and this was a little clip with Stephon Marbury.
Up forever. LeBron, Jay-Z, whoever. Those two really mainly, because it's interesting that how those two dudes during the time of my career was part of like a fucking sabotage. Excuse my language. I mean, I'll get to it, but it is what it is. But forever, it's up.
So you see Stephon Marbury, he said forever it's up, and this is coming from a video that he created I think last week. This is new. So these two people, these names, they're not put together by accident. The Rock Boys and all of this stuff. This thing right here says LeBron James quitting Lakers over Diddy controversy ? Theories surfaced. Several social media users speculated that LeBron James is quitting the Los Angeles Lakers, with some linking his absence to Sean Diddy Combs. The 39-year-old has not addressed these claims. ESPN reported he is unlikely to play Friday against the Timberwolves. So that was earlier this week. All of these different things, they make LeBron look really suspect at the moment. So we'll keep moving because we now know that LeBron James is a part of one of the watchers to distract us from our own glory. He keeps people like Stephon Marbury, some of the glorious individuals that are very, very brilliant at playing basketball, and they get locked out. So let's go to the next slide. Because LeBron James, he has most certainly proved his allegiance to who he is alleged to, and there's no party like a Diddy party, right? So I have a interpretation of House Party 2023. I decode some things about it, and I really don't even speak on the Illuminati side of things, but they clearly put the allegiance into your face, and they, regardless of how they do things, these type of hazings, they show you that there's a hazing that goes on, and there's a bloodletting ritual, just the same way as you do communion at your church. So don't think it's too far off touch. They try to get you to propagate these different rituals to keep the actual illusion alive. So you have LeBron James. He is the actual subject of the house that they have the party at, and they end up losing this ring right here to a few ops, and then they have to go to a party to find Illuminati party, quote unquote, because Kid Cudi takes him. He's already in. He's going tonight. He takes them in and gets them initiated. They see some things. They drink some blood, but they get the ring back because every NBA championship, the Illuminati gets a copy of the ring sent to their lodge. This is what the movie tells you. This is nothing that I'm making up. Go watch the movie. But you see him with the hand covering his mouth. Don't say anything. That's a part of the ritual, right? That's House Party, the original. House Party 2023. This is a completion of the ritual. You see them at the lodge when they go to the place to get the ring back for who? LeBron James, because LeBron James is unaware that these children are having a party. So it's a whole story, but they show and they prove their allegiance in front of you, and you have to be very savvy to understand that entertainers are puppets that are being controlled by puppeteers. Next slide. You see this, shut the f*** up. Everybody is involved. You even got Pharrell, Kendrick, you got Diddy right here, Biebs, you got Kanye. He's very heavy on that. He played the game all the way to a T so that he can get all of these different things done. So you see these people put their allegiance right in front of your face. Even people like Rihanna, they get tattoos with the finger saying shh. Lil Mama, all these people, Adam Sandler, even Tupac, Ray J, and he has it now. He's a broadcaster that broadcasts the news. You got Snoop Dogg, you got Tiger, you got these women, Jennifer, I forgot her last name. But you see the order is made to do this. So shout out to these two young brothers on on the screen, you got Young Elder News Live, and you got Phase 1 explaining some of the secrets. So let's see what he has to say.
Which is why when you become a Mason or a traveler, the first thing we had to learn was...
Look at the screen.
That's the first thing you learn.
You see what he got going on? That's the first thing you learn is shh. And shout out to these brothers, you know, they kicking down doors with 4-4s. But that's a part of the order because there's a particular connection to how they have a pyramid that is something we're going to tap into towards the end. So let's get into this next slide. And this is kind of funny because who the hell is in charge? You don't know who is in charge. So at this point, you see Jay-Z and Diddy getting taken down. So either one, they did this and they were doing this to edify their demon or God to keep them in the place of the chosen, or they didn't do this and they're about to get kicked out of their spot and blackballed like every other person that they do not want in charge. So either one or the other, they're puppets for the program. So real quick, Clone Tyrone, you notice that at the end of Clone Tyrone that the person that looked like Tyrone and Fontaine and the bodyguard ended up being the Lab Institute guy that was working with some other people to keep up this program. And he was himself having a particular reason why he wanted to keep this program up, because he was looking for a cure to bring his brother Ronnie back or whoever. But they was propagating a particular order, and they had this guy in charge. This I forgot his name. I don't know his name, but homeboy right here in charge, and he was the one that would come down and enforce when people like these got a hold of what was happening. But before we get too far ahead, we'll look at Yacub, the big head scientist, because this is kind of an ode to the big head scientist when you got Clone Tyrone and you get to the end. So Yacub is a figure of the mythology of the Nation of Islam, and that's not necessarily the truth. They put this in there because Dr. Malachi Z. York, he has the book called The Holy Tablets. And inside of that book, it discusses particular stories like Yacub, and I believe the story of the Watchers with Enki and Enlil is also in there. I did not do enough studying on that to break that down entirely, but he has a whole lot of literature and even speeches online all over the place. So tap into that on your own time. But Yacub is the big head scientist that looked like us. He was basically a demigod that created these people, Caucasian people. And I found it funny that he had Son of Yacub on his shirt. Because it is known that he was the scientist who created different breeds by grafting. It says it in here. According to the NOI's doctrine, Yacub was a black scientist who lived 6,600 years ago and began the creation of the white race through a form of selective breeding referred to as grafting, while he was living in islands of Patmos. So I'll let you do your own research on that, but that is a interesting connection to this guy because he particularly is a watcher, a identifier of a watcher, and he propagates others to do their work for them, and that's why these people are in charge, because he puts them in charge so that the actual chosen can propagate the rest of the scenario, or get down. So get down or lay down is basically the rules. Next slide. So you got Hollywood and the Office of the Strategic Services. So type of situation like this, he comes from CIA. And we're going to read this article right here that speaks on how they had their hands on entertainment since, Second World War. During the Second World War, many in Hollywood signed up to serve their country in the Office of Strategic Services, America's first intelligence agency, including prolific Oscar-winning filmmaker John Ford and legendary Disney camera effects artist Bob Brockton. Together, they created OSS training films and documented OSS activities in the field, pioneering the use of film in intelligence for generations to come. So right there, he's John Ford and Bob Brockton. He's a part of Disney and the Oscar-winning filmmaker John Ford. So he's made plenty of films. I don't know the list. We can look it up on our own time. At that time, however, Hollywood studios were prohibited from mentioning OSS in film due to secrecy. So they were secret with it. Screenwriters did their best to keep those three little letters out of the wartime script. So the CIA is involved with Hollywood. They have office in Hollywood. Next slide. And you notice Hollywood has their hands on everything that we consume because it's a distraction. So this is a little clip in the background that shows some of the thought leaders that they put on a video game called Call of Duty Black Ops. And Call of Duty Black Ops is one of the most famous games in video game land. Black Ops, It's funny that they call it Black Ops because oppositions, and then you speak on black. So, quote unquote, they program you to either be a racist and hate another or hate your own. But I digress in that fashion, and we keep up with this particular game right here. Call of Duty Black Ops, there's a particular segment in the game where you have the zombies, and you can go to the White House, and the video starts off with these four guys talking, and that's John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon, Robert McNamara, and Fidel Castro. And there's conspiracies behind these four gentlemen. I'm familiar with John F. Kennedy. He exposed the secret societies, and he was against secret societies. He was actually a part of a secret society himself. He's inside of one of his family, and he was born into it and actually began to speak out because he seen what was happening in a cultural standpoint that was not right. I believe Richard Nixon, he was a part of certain scandals, and they wanted to impeach him because I think he wanted to expose certain files. Not very sure. I know Robert McNamara, he wrote some books, I believe, and I think he even had his hands on some films that were created, and they were about exposing different governmental truths in different ways. And then Fidel Castro, he was one of the people that wanted to unite his land and unify the opposition so that they could actually either go to war against America or at least keep him safe and keep them free from American control. Not sure the entire story, but if you notice the second part of it, after you get from the White House, you go downstairs into the basement, and the basement looks very, very familiar if you fast forward to Clone Tyrone, because there's a laboratory down there, and then there's a scientist down there. There's a bunch of zombies that are coming out of certain areas, and the zombies need to be killed. So that's a part of the actual video game that is pretty telling. If you look at these scenes are the basement of the White House, and in the White House they were doing different laboratory creations, and things got out of hand, and that's how you got the zombies in the first place. So the CIA is involved in all of these different structures so that they can paint a particular narrative and to give you disclosure in a unassuming space. If you notice, disclosure is usually in the arena of kids' attention, because the kids are the ones that are not really old enough to put the dots together, and certain adults do not watch or play video games or watch cartoons. They put a lot of things in cartoons or in fiction books, different aspects as such. So you're looking at it like you have to give yourself the discerning eye and see through the veil. You're not going to just look at what they're showing you. You're going to actually see through the things that are being shown to you. So this is just a cute little video game of shooting, killing some zombies. But when you're actually breaking it down, it's showing you that these rebels to America's society, they are going to succeed the zombies in the apocalypse. They're going to be the ones that save the world from the apocalypse. Interesting story, if you ask me. And they have a lot of different gems like this throughout our Hollywood sector, where movies are propagated, our video games have scripts in them, and our children's TV shows, they have different agendas to propagate and hypersexualize or to attention deficit our children. So next slide, we'll maintain knowledge and knowing that these things are happening, and that way we will avoid the illusion. Next slide. So just like Clone Tyrone, these people breed more individuals to uphold the program. Oftentimes, your first son has to go to the secret order to fulfill a blood ritual of sacrificing your first child. So this is just a theory of mine. I could be way the fuck off, but it's just something about these two guys' nose for me. That's a Jay-Z nose, man. I'm sorry. I think that Jay-Z, his secret son, is J. Cole. You know what I mean? And they planted him in Fayetteville, and he had the Hunger Games his way out. But that's just that's just for entertainment, allegedly. But regardless or not, this guy, J. Cole, he's in a space where he's kind of handcuffed, and you notice his bright-eyed, bushy tail. When he was a youngin' coming into the game, he kind of came in real excited. And his second album was called Born Sinner, and it like he started it off saying it was way darker this time, and you notice the dark road that he went through for the next decade or two. And you look at him right now, he's kind of lost to actually be a real inspiring rapper, because he's limited at what he can actually rap about. And he may even be an individual that is, brilliant, because he's portrayed a lot of different modalities, music in a movie type of manner. Like, he put Forest Hill Drives together, and these things are inspiring in the manner of keeping yourself afloat, going through different life journeys, being an individual. So he's not completely a sellout, but you look at his hands are bound, and he's like a copy of Jay-Z, very braggadocious rapper, and he's segmented into a certain space of hip-hop. And he's not necessarily the people's champ. personally, I love J. Cole's music and his whole style, his whole approach, the way he moves. And even once upon a time, Jay-Z was one of my most favorite hip-hop artists in the game. And he still has some of the best music in the catalog of hip-hop if you look at the stats. But you also have to tie in the fact that how many people were involved with his creative process, how many people created and made that sound that we actually love. When you look at people like Kanye or J. Cole, they put a lot more of vision into their music because they're creating the beat, they're creating a lot of the visuals, they're coming with auspicious type of little interludes and different value that gives the consumer or the person who's looking for inspiration the actual download. When Jay-Z's actually giving you a bunch of different things on which watch to wear, how to crease your hat, how to walk like this, you know what I mean? He really not giving you a lot of different things. He said a few fly things, you know what I mean, like buy the block, like have Lloyd money. Like he said a few fly things, cool. But if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't even need lawyer money. You should need some money for something else, but that's a whole nother story. I digress. Next slide. So you got control opposition. Let's get into TikTok of what Wise had to say right here before we talk any much about this. Hold up. Oh no. Let's pause. I can't move, y'all. We stuck. Hold on.
So, did was 441 Marshall's Peace, love, and all that goodness. How y'all living? Hit the thumbs up. Supercell, y'all. So, the villain in Supercell, the Netflix TV series, is crazy. Right here, we got on the screen. And if anyone has watched this movie, spoiler alert, you will notice Crazy's storyline is very similar to these celebrities, to these deviants, to these people that we see getting locked up today. So, Crazy, if you peep game, you remember how he popped up out of nowhere when Taser and his boys was making some mess. And he pulled up like, you won't be doing that no more. And then it was like, where the fuck did Crazy come from? I thought he was locked up. Boom, he was locked up, right? And we're going to fast forward, we're going to jump around so that we can keep up with what's going on. And if you fast forward to the end of the movie, you remember that he was protected by the entire mob that's behind the scenes, CIA, FBI, whoever, one of them three-letter words that try to control your Siri and Alexa to do the shit that they want you to do. So they have people like Crazy to wreak havoc, to control the other people that think they're going to go do something to better their lives, and to distract. You know what I mean? You remember Crazy, he was also involved with Homegirl. So Charlene, boom, right here. This is important because he is doing bids to capture chosen ones and bring them into the portal of whatever the fuck and take them into captivity, not captivity, custody, and be able to turn them, flip them, and make them work for them. So they also gave Crazy the device to vamp other people's energy. I don't know if they gave that to him, or that was his particular energy, but he was able to, if he touched someone, he can use their energy against them. And that's what you're seeing, how he tried to defeat the guys, Michael and the rest of them, Rodney, in the end of the movie or show.
Well, right here is the very end of the TV show, or the first season, and this is the most important part. And the most important part is they are able to save Crazy. They took him back, fixed him up, brought him back to life, and then they say, you know what? You're done. We're gonna kill you. I don't know if they killed him or they got rid of him or what, but they probably MK Ultra'd him and reprogrammed him. You know what I mean? Send him back out there, like they do all your famous people. So boom, here's Crazy 1 and Crazy 2. So we be on these guys because these are the puppets. These are the ones that we have first access to. The puppet masters we don't typically get to. They kind of buffer themselves between them and the people is the crazies. And if they don't like the crazies, what do? They get your ass up out of here. Now maybe Diddy is a clone and they just reprogramming him like I said about Crazy. But whatever is going on, they let Diddy do all of these things. You know what I mean? They let him run him up. They let him do all the things they wanted to do. And then once his time expired or once he violated, who knows what he really did behind the scenes. They say 50 Cent said that the Diageo Ciroc situation pissed him off. Then you got other people saying that the industry is over him. Whatever. But he's a nuisance to the community. He commits havoc. He wreaks havoc. And he has no regard for the actual chosen ones. What does he do? He goes and gets the chosen ones, Biggie Smalls, G-Dep, all these Mace. These are the early ones, and then later on, Young Miami, and all these different entities to keep him relevant. He vamps their energy, and what does he do on the music? He uses them, and now he's the producer. He gets 80% of the song. The writer or the songstress that actually put the energy and the effort, the actual creative juices into the ethers to even edify the music, they get nothing, next to nothing. You know what I mean? So they get with the Charlene's, and then they try to figure out which ones are chosen. So he probably has had sexual relations with all of Kim's friends, Kim Porter, and probably figured out which ones to have the baby with so that he can continue the etheric bullshit. So if you pay attention, these TV shows will show you the truth right in your face. You just have to understand the perspective and follow the narration. Peace, y'all. So yeah, that's what's up with it. Oh. Okay, we're on slide 17. So that's control opposition. And they usually put a control opposition in a city near you because it's easier to buffer themselves. You know what I mean? So you'll go back to the slide that we was looking at with these guys, and you'll look at Fontaine and them and Slick Charles as the buffers, actual puppets that will be the ones that influence each other. And these guys are actually another buffer before you get to the actual creators. So you gotta pay attention, but they give you little identity understandings based on the way that they order these shows. You understand? So your control opposition comes in the form of the people that you can closely relate to because they know that he looks like them and he can either demonize them or influence them in a manner that's going to keep the operation going. Next slide. So this is that pyramid that we was kind of talking about. And you'll see this guy, J. Edgar Hoover, say, there will never be another black messiah unless we create them. So it's very important to know that these people are a part of these orders right here. And you'll understand that the black hand are in the black nobility and in this space. And a lot of these people are in the lower part of this pyramid that talk about the corporate mainstream media. So they give them the keys to the beamer right here, and they can drive this all they want. Excuse me. But if they do something out of line that will, how do you want to say it? That will forge the future of their agenda, then they will X them out and get an upgrade that's more appropriated for the times. So they'll create another one. So there's never going to be a Messiah, and we never ever should look for a Messiah. We should be looking for the power within ourselves to be better individuals and become a lot more outstanding with our creative abilities and harnessing the energy. So let's get into this portion of the slide, because when we understand how particular systems are usurping our energy, we can pull back from actually giving too much energy. You know what I mean? It won't be so damning. You understand? Because the patriarchy is in here, and there's not many men. Not many women. There's no children at the top. There's a few men, and they are controlled by domination, exploitation, and coercion. You know what I mean? You only go up the ladder by having actual properties, different power, and a certain amount of wealth. You know, we live in a patriarchal system that exploits the needs of the community. You know, they're serving drugs. You know, they're hypersexualizing us. They're creating poisonous foods, all these different things, involving your system in polluted lifestyles, so that the few at the top can enjoy a certain amount of wealth. So big pharma and different corporations, they can enjoy the exploitation. And the same thing is this little area. There's separation, scarcity, hierarchy, individualism, domination, violence, greed. The only reason that there's violence is because they're propagating racism. They're creating and propagating culturism that is mine is better than yours. They're creating the actual need for one set of individuals, lower class people, to have to fight for their their right for anything that's worth a damn. So sometimes they may rob the people that have it, and it turns into violence. But a lot of times, most people are structured in a patriarchal system. They're gonna understand that it's a dog world. But you have a matriarchy, and these are the things that we can start to implement from the inside out until they are actually adjacent to our governmental strategies. And this is kind of why I knew nobody like a woman like Kamala Harris would even be in the presidential factions, because of these patriarchy and matriarchy systems. But if you notice, in the matriarchy, there's a cycle that everybody eats, and there's always a time. Problems dispatched to matriarchs. Open discussions on all points of views. Solutions adopted by consensus. So all of these are spread. So the problems are spread across. So the mother births, the children grow, then the maturity and is the men and the women, then it's all over again. So it goes out into a cycle of existing in your time, my time, our time. You know what I mean? Matriarchies, you got regeneration, you got love, community, reciprocity, gifts, balance, and center of the mother. So putting the mother first, giving her the access of the comfort, because this is her throne. The earth is a feminine existence, and Mother Earth is basically who we are here to serve. So in essence, we all are watchers, and we have come here to protect the earth, and we are here to restore the matriarchy systems that have been polluted by certain patriarchal statuses. Patriarchy never rules. Patriarchy just observes, while matriarchy rules and runs the planet. You understand how that works? Next slide. So you got another example of a watcher, and Kendrick Lamar on Reincarnated. He says, "You fell out of heaven because you was anxious. You didn't like authority, only searching to be heinous." Isaiah 14, the only thing that was prevalent. And then he goes, "But now we're here now, centuries you manipulated man with music." And then down at the bottom he says, "I rewrote the devil's story just to take our power back." Incarnated. So if you pay attention, that the story of Lucifer, the light bearer, he was a part of the Watchers, and he is one of the angels that fell out of heaven. He's the fallen angel that fell out of heaven, and he loved music, so he used the music to trick others into doing the things that he wanted them to do, like the Pied Pipers and the different little stories as such. And Kendrick Lamar even named his son Enoch. He called himself the Black Noah. He strangled him a goat. So he basically tries to say that I'm rewriting the devil's story to recreate or reharness the Watcher's incarnation. You know, after reincarnating over a certain amount of times, you start to finally learn and get it. So he has 3 verses, and he explains how those different incarnations have grown him into being a watcher that is now knowing how to do things for everyone, every man, woman, and child. You know, those type of things. So next slide. Because the spiritual war is out here, and you got watchers that are here for the greater good. Some of them have infiltrated and been low-key, and they now succeed in the ascension, and they now look back and say, hey, look, we've infiltrated this system. This is what's happening. You want to get into it like this. And your ascension, you know, is being blocked by lower frequencies, and they fight for your attention all the time. So over here, you can see the colostrum with the pineal gland system, and all of these chakra points right here are important to the connection of the spinal system and the fluid that runs up and down it, because the colostrum is what catches the pineal and it kind of charges that system, and you are seeing in a 6th sense deeper than just your 5 senses. Okay, so this talks about Santa Claus and the 28 days, and this was very important because this is kind of the story of the Christmas story, because your Kundalini rises, and in December you have Sagittarius season, which is awakening, and awakening is arriving to this pineal gland area, and you are clicking the light switch on, you know what I mean, and you're going to start to explore different factions. So it's a beautiful time for you to be retaining your semen. It's a beautiful time for you to be sitting down and meditating and building the beat as you get up into this Christmas day, which is 25th of December. But you leading yourself up into that time frame, the actual energy is building, and it's actually a harness for you to use that colostrum to build and reach penile and to come online for the year. So go out and hug a tree, get yourself some energy out in nature, and you're able to connect yourself with the tools that will harness you with said energy and information. You feel me? So boom, boom, pow. That's the basis of how we're going to fight this spiritual war, because there's a lot of things on Twitter that makes you want to, lust. There's a lot of things on Instagram that makes you want to say, damn, I wish I had that. There's a lot of things on YouTube that make you say, man, I'm going to go out and buy that, or damn, I should do that too. And it's misguiding you in a manner that is not, ascension-based. Next slide. Because you'll see different scripts and different scenarios, and these comedians are a lot of the truth tellers. So melanated comedians often seem to speak the truth and connect the dots that are difficult to speak about. And you'll notice that, for example, what had happened was, it sounds very eerily similar to Run Tell That. And they have the same suits. They have the same, type of breakdown that goes on, similar storylines from the alpha comedians, both known for their uncontrollable style. They both seem to have experienced an event that almost cost them their lives. Pulling free from that fate, they explain their tribulation to the masses. So, that sounds very, very similar to each other. Is it a coincidence? Possibly, but we're putting together these dots to show you that there's a war going on, and the people that are uncontrollable and are not a part of the propaganda in the fashion that they need them to be, they get them X'd out of there. And we may think that these are the clones or the retweaked individuals where they had to give them a certain type of medicine or fix them up or rehabilitate them and tell them, look, we can pull your plug. We put a chip in you. If you do this next time, we can just turn you off from here. You know how if you don't pay your car bill, and they come and take it, but when they give it back to you after you pay your bill, you're like, look, we got a chip in the engine now. If you if you don't pay the bill now, we'll just turn it off. So that's how they do these individuals, man. That's alleged, man. But next slide, you want to talk about the war report, certain people that died. Y'all tap into my last video where I speak about certain individuals. Mercurial Magi is in the title subject, and you can view the war report where we kind of show some of our legends. Few of them died. Rest in peace, Prince, Left Eye, Michael Jackson, Christopher Wallace, Tupac Shakur. You still got a few of the Mercurial Magi that's involved. And what I would like to say, whether they're part of the system to this day or not, they have a certain individual stance that brings the community together in a better fashion. So if you look at Kanye and Cat Williams and Kendrick, and we know that they're part of the system. We know that they were, a part of it, but we also understand that there's a particular order that they're bringing truth and awareness to, and it breaks down the actual structure of the power that is been circumvented. So you'll notice that all these people in the war report, they have a particular story to tell. So y'all go check that video out, and shout out to our characters that, have fallen, in this Hollywood story. Many other Hollywood deaths stem from mob tied blood in, blood out, often because they would not comply to the order of the debauchery and the demonic rituals. And you got King Von, you got ODB, Aaliyah, Nipsey, Left Eye again, Bob Marley, Michael Jackson again, Whitney Houston. You got James Brown, you got Sam Cooke, you got Tupac again, you got Prince again, you got Takeoff. These are just some of the few people that we can most notably say that we notice your energy, your inspiration, and your ability to do so. You came down here, kind of fell short, but you have the ability to do so much in the actual spirit of who and what you are. So shout out to them. And next slide, this is the last slide. Thank y'all for like, share, and subscribe. Thank y'all for holding it down. Y'all made it to the last slide. Go to Moordreamzllc. Cash out your boy some money so we can keep these slides going so that I can have the time to do so. These things take time out of my family. These things take time away from my actual work that makes money. I don't get any money for these PowerPoint lessons that I make. I have to make subscribe sessions to Microsoft and sit down and do these things. It takes me a whole week and a half, put them together, make some beautiful visuals, and we talk about some good stuff. So hopefully these dots put together some things so that you can see what we're dealing with, and you'll notice that these orders of secret orders, they're not as nice as they say they are. Or maybe they are nice. I heard the word nice is actually not so nice. Would you believe that? But y'all keep the ether thumbs up. Y'all stay cool. Peace, love, and light. One.